KRS-ONE, and I'm right now in Detroit. Welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop. EPMD is on stage right now, and everyone else is here too. Kane, Dougie, it's a really big show here in Detroit. Place is rammed in here. Shout out to Detroit all day. I got my glasses on because I got my gospel. And of course, I want to hit y'all real quick. I'm getting ready to go on in 10 minutes. But I want you to see this real quick. You know, when we're traveling, we do shorter lessons. So here I am, you know, by a lonely light, and I'm here. I'm underground in the venue. This is the Fox Theater in Detroit. So just as EPMD do their thing, why don't we turn our gospel real quick to page 299. That is 289. Page 289. We're reading the fifth overstanding, the inner city. Okay, now this is amazing. This is amazing because this is what happens when you are on the path. When you on the path, listen to this. It's time for God's people to stand up. And this is the part that got me, because for us to do everything that we're doing right now, you know, August 12th, really August 10th, August 11th, August 12th, and August 13th, we're blazing hip hop straight out. 1520 Sedgwick Avenue. We're outside on Sedgwick Avenue. We shut down the whole Sedgwick Avenue. We're outside on Sedgwick Avenue in front of 1520 Sedgwick Avenue, the Bronx, where it all began in 73. We're right there. This is the only official Hip Hop 50 you ever gonna see, okay? Right there at the birthplace. So it says, it's time for God's people to stand up. Evil and suffering occurs in the world when divine people ignore their divinity, their responsibilities. Others cannot do what we do. That's why it is not being done. We must get to work quickly. You are the savior of your world. That's what we living with right now, y'all. You can read the rest of it. It tells you about the blessings that you get when you wear the handmade clothing of God. So I want you to read this. I'm running upstairs now, but I wanted to put this on us real quick for Sunday, for this time right now. They're coming with the mic right now. I'll end off by saying that what we're going to do today is we're going to play the Temple of Hip Hop's bio. We're going to remind everyone, including ourselves, what our mission is and why we're here. So this is what it is. I want to thank you all for riding with us. We're getting closer to the 11th, and it's getting really exciting. It's getting crazy. Car shows, MCs, breakers, graffiti writers, beatboxers. You notice these other shows, by the way, are only focused, these other 50th anniversaries, they're only focused on rappers that sold a lot of records. Look at the bill for yourself. No graffiti writers, no breakers, no beatboxing, no knowledge and overstanding. None of that, but yet they yelling culture. Nah, G, the real hip hop is over here. And this is where we at right now. I just got off the phone with Sugar Hill Gang. They coming through. Grandmaster Flash already there. Melly, they're already in the house. Kid Capri, everybody's there. But you gotta be there. Make sure you're there August 12th, 2023, in front of 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx, the birthplace of hip hop. That's where it's going down. So that's the gospel of hip hop. Take a look at the Temple of Hip Hop's history so we can get more reacquainted with what we all about and why we here. I thank you. Peace.
Let us all give a wonderful round of applause for the teacher, KRS-ONE.
Let's get right to the point. And I'm struggling with my voice because the more I use it, the better it gets. I screamed and yelled yesterday, and obviously my voice is a little raspy, but the more I use it, the better it gets. And I say that because the soul is the same way.
Peace and welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop. I am Sun One, an apprentice committed to the Temple of Hip Hop, and this presentation is produced to give you some information regarding the Temple of Hip Hop, its function, and its history.
These missions that we do, this mission that we're on, has been happening for the last 30 years. What you're sitting in is a long-standing tradition with hip hop. And this is the purpose for what we call the Temple of Hip Hop. We started in 1996, really before that, but the term Temple of Hip Hop didn't come to us until 1996. Like I said before, for 30 years, hip hop has been meeting like this and discussing itself.
We're not looking to make $1 million. We're looking to have a presence where people know that there's a legitimate force out there that is ran by legitimate people about this culture. If you have questions about the culture and you want legitimate answers, not yo man, you know what I'm saying, but legitimate answers that you can go and print somewhere in a college journal about a culture, you need to come see the Temple of Hip Hop.
The Temple of Hip Hop is a hip hop preservation society which functions as an authentic hip hop ministry. We preach the attainment of peace, love, unity, and safely having fun through the mastery of breaking, MCing, graffiti art, and DJing.
What's up? How y'all doing? Yeah, now look, if y'all ain't hyped yet, you will be hyped before you leave here tonight. Because tonight we're going to establish the authority of hip-hop culture.
The mission began with the launch of the Stop the Violence movement in 1989, and then with Human Education Against Lies, HEAL, in 1991. In 1994, KRS-ONE declared, "I am hip-hop," and began to inspire the global hip-hop community to see itself beyond music entertainment. During this time, KRS-ONE would unify the essence of the hip-hop community around the development of hip-hop as a global culture, and how such a culture could be preserved and passed on to future generations. Others at the time had brought up the idea of rappers forming a union capable of providing health care and legal defense for rappers and DJs. But it was KRS-ONE that introduced the idea of hip-hop being an international culture of peace and prosperity for all those practicing hip-hop's cultural elements.
But the theme of unifying hip-hop as a culture, unifying artists, and having them organized in a fashion where they can control their political power, control their economic power, their creative power, etc., etc.
It was KRS-ONE that put the K in hip-hop's culture and actually did the work to unify hip-hop into a global community beyond entertainment. But such ideas would be met with fierce opposition and sabotage. Prominent hip-hop pioneers, journalists, professors, and artists alike refused to accept the idea of hip-hop becoming a legitimate global culture. They argued for its continued existence as a music genre, hip-hop. When KRS-ONE first stated, "I am hip-hop," his critics thought that he was speaking only of himself, that he alone was hip-hop. But what our teacher was saying was that not only did he realize that he was hip-hop itself, but that anyone participating in hip-hop was also hip-hop itself.
But someone else would say, yes, I am hip-hop. Now the two of us are united. I'm hip-hop, this person's hip-hop. Class don't matter. Gender don't matter. Race don't matter. Religion don't matter. Hip-hop is above all of that. You can be whatever you want to be. All we want to know is, can you break? Can you MC? Can you DJ? Can you do rap? Can you beatbox? What is your culture? What is the content of your character?
Through his songs, books, and lectures, over a 30-year period, KRS-ONE taught the hip-hop community about itself and made it cool to be intelligent. This is why He is hip hop's official teacher.
I want to verify something that you heard. Look in the back of this tag. You see in the back is that your tag?
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, that's when the tag is pointing down to where the party's at.
The tag was pointing where the party.
That was the direction.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah, you come this far, this is keep on coming down the step to the valley. Right. Down to you're going out to the water.
Right.
That was a trail down to the water. Right. Major Deegan Highway. Oh, yeah, no.
Down to the coast.
Turn the page. Matter of fact, my first girlfriend, graduated. This has to play ball at.
That's me and Kenny. 72.
You see the trail coming down?
Yeah, I see
the inner steps there. All right, okay, all right.
Taking it back.
Now this park right here used to stay filthy. You see all this right here? Only time the kids, anybody know, anytime, that's it. This is it. When the park is clean, earth is coming down. I said, you want me to come out there and play? I gotta clean the park up. See, yeah. All that dirt is coming down here, man. It's not like that, man. Whoa. See, he was there. You couldn't come out. You was hearing madness.
I was hearing it and couldn't go.
You was hearing it. Oh shit! Good. I live on the other side of the building here. Right. And this is the park right here.
We was
and
out our window.
This is the daycare center. That daycare center's still there, man.
Oh,
This is where I belong to our first party at for such a seat. But this is the block party.
I needed to verify the tag.
That's it.
Because only God would have positioned my mother like that. Word up, that is crazy. He had no idea what was going on.
Right.
When no one else was thinking about hip hop as a teachable subject, KRS-ONE was out there lecturing at universities, performing at sold-out concerts, and writing books pertaining to hip hop years before it became fashionable to do so. In 1994, after declaring "I am hip hop" for the first time, KRS-ONE held a Meeting of the Minds conference at the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture in Harlem, New York. Many pioneers were in attendance. This was the first time the question as to how to preserve hip-hop as a new global culture was properly asked.
With question number one being, what in our minds is the most important aspect to preserving the culture of hip-hop?
In 1997, the Temple of Hip Hop held its first hip-hop census, which asked thousands of hip-hoppers their definitions of hip-hop and where hip-hop should be going. In the same year, the Temple of Hip Hop held major public and private hip-hop cultural conferences all across the United States, seeking the proper definition, history, and purpose of hip-hop as an actual world culture.
Well, it started from myself. I was the first. Hip-hop to me right now is like it's on the course of a relay. I was the first guy who started off with the baton. You know, I started off like that. And the origin, West Indian background. I was born in the West Indies, from Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica.
Led by KRS-ONE, the Temple of Hip Hop continued to produce many of these kinds of meetings and lectures, ultimately establishing Hip Hop Appreciation Week every third week in May in 1998, and then going on to declare hip hop a legitimate world culture of peace and prosperity May 16, 2001, at the United Nations headquarters in New York. This gathering at the delegates' dining room revealed the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace.
Wherever the elements, culture, and expressions of hip-hop and the term hip-hop manifests, this hip-hop Declaration of Peace shall govern its use and interpretation. Hip-hop respects the dignity and sanctity of life without discrimination or prejudice. Hip-hop culture demands that hip-hoppers work to eliminate poverty, speak out against injustices, and to shape a more caring society and a more peaceful world. Hip-hop does not participate in any form of hate at any time. Those who are not hip-hop are prohibited from explaining or interpreting hip-hop to others. Hip-hop respects the laws and agreements of its culture, its country, and those it does business with. Hip-hop is the name of our collective consciousness. As a conscious way of life, we recognize our influence on society, especially on children, and we forever shall keep the welfare of both in mind.
This groundbreaking document is the only legally established, NGO-recognized agreement in the world regarding the existence of hip-hop as a legitimate global culture of peace and prosperity. It was at this historic gathering of serious scholars, UN delegates, artists, hip-hop pioneers, and journalists that the Hip-Hop Declaration of Peace was established by hip-hop for hip-hop, with the ceremonial acknowledgement of the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. As KRS-ONE stated at the signing of the Hip-Hop Declaration of Peace, quote, "Now that we exist, there will never not be a time where we shall not exist. Even if hip-hop stops tomorrow, it will always be remembered. Its influences shall remain entrenched in the very fabric of the societies in which it existed. Our existence as a temple for hip-hop brings balance to hip-hop in world history. Knowing that hip-hop is the name of our social group in world history, it becomes obvious then that no one is going to intentionally protect, promote, and preserve hip-hop for the sake of hip-hop. This we are going to have to do for ourselves, and this is what it means to be hip-hop," end quote.
Before we get to the elements, the artistic elements, before we get to the performances, you got to ask yourself, what caused us to do that? Not the rapping, yo. What makes a person want to even do that? Well, what makes you even think that you can touch the turntable and manipulate it in such a way that it's now at the level of a guitar or a violin or a horn? You took an appliance, and because of your perception of the appliance changed, not you.
Membership with the Temple of Hip Hop begins with one securing a copy of the Gospel of Hip Hop for oneself. Entry into our society of attuned hip hoppers begins with the study of the Gospel of Hip Hop on one's own time at one's own pace. Those with a copy of the Gospel of Hip Hop are considered temple members. Everything about our temple, its meaning and purpose, its schedule and its mission is further explained there. Contentment and self-acceptance begins our ministry. The accurate documentation of hip-hop's existence in the world begins our archive. The teaching of an authentically hip-hop curriculum begins our school. And our unity around the overstandings of the gospel of hip-hop begins our society. Welcome to the Temple of Hip-Hop.
So in faith, we say, we know this is already done. We let it be. We are the people. And there it is. There it is. Thank you for the